Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing the Intergalactic Book Tag. I wasn't tagged to do this, but I saw Steve over on his channel, Steve Donahue, which I'll link in the description box below, do this. I thought it looked interesting and extremely appropriate for me, considering obviously how much science fiction I read. So without further delay, I'll get straight into talking about the books, and there is an interesting variety of them, I hope. Question 1 is space. Name a book that is out of this world. Now for this I'm going to choose one that's set in 2 different worlds, at least. And that is Magician by Raymond E. Forrest. As the books go on, there are actually more worlds that are brought in and explored. I'm not sure exactly how many because I haven't actually read all of the books set within this universe. This is the first book in the Rift War trilogy, and I absolutely love this book and indeed the whole of the first trilogy. These books are just phenomenal in my opinion. I love them, and they are basically one of my favourite fantasy trilogies ever. I really do like them, and I would recommend you at least having a quick look at them and seeing if they are for you. I mean, they really do work for me anyway. Question 2 is Black Hole. Name a book that completely sucked you in. There is no one book for this. Actually, it's every book that I read, because when I read, I am extremely focused on what I'm reading. Minor things like other people and the rest of the world fail to exist to me. I focus entirely on what I'm reading, and therefore obviously this really sucks me in. I mean, obviously sometimes when I'm reading I'm not in this completely focused state because obviously the overall environment might be a bit too noisy, but as long as it's not excessively noisy, then yeah, my focus is pretty extreme. Question 3 is light speed. Name a book you anticipated so much that you want to get to it at light speed. Now for this there are 2 books. The first of which is Lunar Wolf Moon by Ian MacDonald. Lunar New Moon was one of my favourite books of last year. And the other book I'm going to choose is A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. And indeed, same as Wolf Moon, this first book, which was Small Way to Angry Planet, was one of my favourite books of last year as well. Both of these books are coming out within the next 2 months, I believe, and I am really looking forward to reading them and just seeing what I think. Hopefully they live up to my expectations, which frankly at this point are really high considering how much I liked both the original books. Question 4 is Nebula. Name a book with a beautiful cover. That is actually a fairly easy one because it is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. The illustration for this cover, and indeed the whole trilogy, is Eric Nyquist. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And frankly, I think the colour scheme and the way these weird sort of half real, half alien, half something else type plants that go on the front of the cover and indeed on the back, and the other 2 books in the trilogy, which are on the shelf behind me, also have equally beautiful covers in their own way, also done by Eric Nyquist, and these are just frankly amazing, I think. Question 5 is Multiverse. Name a spin-off or companion series that you love. For this I'm actually going to choose just a single book, and it's an extremely small one, and that is The Seventh Dwarf by Ian Colfer. This is a very small, tiny book, in fact, a spin-off book to do with the Artemis Fowl series by Ian Colfer, which I love those books. There are 8 of them in total, and I love each and every one of them. You know, those books are basically my Harry Potter, because I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter, but those books are basically my equivalent. This is one that he wrote for, I'm not sure if you can see it very well, World Book Day about 4 years ago or so, and this is a really short, unsurprisingly, book, but a really fun little tale about one of the relatively minor characters in one of the early books. Question 6 is Gravity. Name a favourite romantic pairing that seems to have a gravitational pull towards each other. And this is the only one that I literally have no answer for, because that's not what I look for in books at all. Obviously romantic elements come into various books I've read over the years, obviously, but that's not something that I focus on, and frankly I don't have any sort of favourite pairings, because if the romantic pairing didn't happen in books, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest, because I look for a different element in books, frankly. I always have them. Question 7 is The Big Bang. Name the book that got you into reading. This is not going to be spoiled because I've mentioned it at least 6 or 7 times previously in the past, and that is The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett. Yep, this is the old edition with multiple loose pages that are actually literally falling out. I read this book first when I was age 8. This actual exact edition belonged to my big sister, so this book is about 35 years old, or maybe more. I'm not strictly sure, I never actually bothered to look. And I love this book to pieces, and indeed I love Terry Pratchett, if you didn't otherwise know. Without Terry Pratchett, I would have still read, obviously, but it would have took me maybe much longer to read. And indeed, because I read this at that particular age, it also partially sort of helped me evolve my sense of humour, and part of my personality I actually attribute directly to Pratchett and the Discworld books, because I read them over and over again. I mean, this book I have read over 100 times in my life. I mean, I could practically recite it word for word at this point without a major problem, I think. So it really is meaningful and has a massive influence on me, not just my life, but as a person. Question 8 is Asteroid. Name a short story or novella that you love. Now, I used to love short stories years ago, and then for whatever reason I fell out of reading them, and then in the last year I have finally started reading short stories again. So for this I'm going to choose an older short story that I read when I was younger, and indeed by T. Pratchett, and that is Troll Bridge. This is a very short story indeed. It's only about 12-15 pages long. You can probably guess that it involves a troll and a bridge, frankly, but it's not quite in the way that you think it is. It's got T. Pratchett's sense of bizarre humour, and it's just really brilliantly well written. And it's actually the first short story I ever read by Pratchett, and I just love it. It's just a fun little story, frankly, which is all you need in a short story, really. Question 9 is Galaxy. Name a book that has multiple points of view. My answer for this is actually very simple, but it's not one book, and that is basically any and all books by Peter F. Hamilton, which are all right there above my head. I love Peter F. Hamilton, if you didn't always know. He's a big science fiction author, an English science fiction author. All his books have at least 4 or 5 points of view minimum in them. Some of them have like 15, 20 in them in total. And his books are all big, grand space operas, mostly. Obviously there are a few exceptions. And I would recommend you trying one of his books out, because I personally love his style of writing, although I know it's not always for everyone. And finally, the last question, question 10, is Spaceship. Name a book that would make a great name for a spaceship. This actually is a really obvious one and a really simple one for me, and that is Aurora by Kim Stanley Robinson. I only actually bought this book about 3 or 4 months ago, and I haven't yet read it, but in computer games in the past, which involve spaceships, I have actually called those spaceships Aurora, coincidentally. So this is a dead accurate one for me, because I have used Aurora as a spaceship name. So with that said, that's it for this tag. I'm not going to tag anybody, but if you want to do this tag, and if it looks interesting to you, then please consider yourself to be tagged. All my social media links can be found in the description box below, as well as any other links of anything related to the books I've mentioned. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you another day. Bye for now.